afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast, episode number 2 of 2020. Woohoo! What if I just did that count like the whole time? What if I just episode 25 of 2020?
No. I'd rather do the total. The total makes it sound like we've been around longer.
This is episode
41.
41. Oh my gosh. I'm the one who posts it and I can't even remember.
Almost a full year's worth of podcasts are out there. Almost. We're almost there.
And there's still one out there in existence somewhere where I'm basically just talking to myself the whole time.
The greatest one ever.
Yeah, it's our best one.
I sound like a psychopath.
It's one of the very early ones.
Yeah. So as I sit here, and what I do typically before we start these podcasts is I type out everything and kind of everything that happens, just so any of us can kind of jump to any topic that we want to. I mean, there's no necessarily formula to how we do this, but I put everything out there just in case anybody wants to talk about anything. And I'll say something. I look at this list and it doesn't look too bad. And I will admit, I'll be the first to admit, I did not watch SmackDown last night. I was a little bit too busy. So I'm going to have to lean pretty hard on you guys for that. But
I can't believe you missed that with how big of a Morrison fan you are, and you missed it.
It's called work, man. Sometimes my other job.
Oh, yeah. You were working all right.
Hey, I was socializing with liquid courage. So, hush. Yeah, but there's obviously, in true Bald Monkeys fashion, I have to go over some of the things, not that I loved, but that I absolutely hated. And number one, top of the list, is this. WWE feels like it's a good idea to constantly manufacture awful puns that go along with people's characters, and that they have to push that all the flippin' time. And while it's annoying, I don't know that it truly bothers me with somebody like Seth Rollins when they say, "Oh, burn it down, burn it down." But I have such an issue with the Lana Lashley segment. And I'm not even having an issue with that segment, right? Like, the segment was okay, and Lashley telling Lana to shut up, and it was kind of a good moment. And you're like, okay, so now we're getting into like the crumble, like we've hit the peak and now we're going to the crumbling down of the segment. And then you've got Rusev getting all fired up, and now the two of them are going to have a match. And okay, I'm still doing good. And then it goes backstage, and here's R-Truth, and he's getting ready to talk to Charlie, and Liv Morgan interrupts. It's like, okay, I like Liv Morgan. Let me emphasize that. I like Liv Morgan. She's a wrestler that I enjoy, WWE. But you know what I don't enjoy? When you give her bullcrap lines to say. At some point, she kind of says, oh, well, Lana's going to be in the ring with Bobby Lashley, so I need to be down there with Rusev because that's the moment I live for. Shut the hell up! What are you talking about? What are you doing, WWE? No, oh my gosh. You did it with Seth Rollins and you literally ruined his character. People started hating him because every single solitary time he was backstage, he said some bullcrap line about, oh, well, I'm gonna burn it down. Guess what? Everybody hates that. And guess what? You are ruining one of the few characters that I was excited to have back after you had her go away for so long. It is garbage what you're doing. So fucking stop. Sorry. Got that off my chest. You guys good to go?
This segment of the podcast brought to you by Midol.
That was a good one, man. You got it out. You got it out. You need to get those things out because things like that happen, and we all have frustrations, and it's good to have this outlet to just scream and yell, and people listen to you scream and yell.
You know what the funniest thing is? Did I even say it on the podcast like last week where I'm trying not to be critical, and I fucking lost my mind when this happened in the first place. And Chris, of course, poking the bear, said, "Oh, so much for not being critical."
You made it one episode.
Yeah, I made it
one episode of the 2020 without being critical.
There you go.
We didn't believe you. It was okay. So I don't disagree at all. Like it obviously was just very, very like forced. Now, what was interesting about that whole segment was that right before it, you had an AJ Styles Tozawa match. AJ Styles leaves the ring, and the camera is showing the ring in the background, and you see someone in a suit roll into the ring, and two other guys in a suit tackle him. And you assume, wow, what a dumb fan trying to get into the ring. And the whole week, the whole rest of the night, you are like looking on Twitter to find that person and see, okay, let's see if there's a clip of it. Did they beat him up? Well, at first it was a fan. And then later on in the evening or sometime in the next morning, we find out it was the priest. The priest in that segment goes to roll into the ring, and two guys from quote unquote security tackle him. So hilarious, right? What a great mix up. No, it wasn't a mix up. They purposely did that. It was on purpose that the priest rolled into the ring, and on purpose that they tackled him. And I don't understand why. So the whole botch of this storyline continues with, it's almost like they're purposely botching things to just troll us. Like, why would you do that?
I believe that's exactly what they're doing. They have no other reason not to at this point, because like they're already too far into it to just let it go, and they pushed it way too hard everywhere that they might as well get a little bit of laugh.
So it's like they're designing botches in each segment. Like I almost feel like they purposely put the makeup on Lashley's face to get it on Lana's face. Like they were like, listen, go go crazy, and this makeup will rub off on Lana's face and she'll look crazy. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna have the priest roll in and we're gonna tackle him. Like every week, it's like another botch that they're trying to slide in there, and just troll us.
Yeah, but did they didn't say anything on the TV broadcast about that? Did they?
That it was the priest?
Yeah.
No. They
So
kind of, but the announcers seemed like they didn't even know what was going on. But then it came out later that it was in the script. Priest rolls into ring and two people dressed as security tackle him.
Well, it's a commercial break, right? It's like oh my gosh, what just happened? I'm gonna stick around for the commercial break to see if there's any resolution to that, because it all happened so fast and was kind of awkward.
It was really awkward, but it's just interesting. It's like, and maybe it is. Maybe Steven's right. Maybe they're just trolling us. And you know what? If they do it well, it'll be hilarious, because we point to AEW when AEW trolls stuff that's going on social media or stuff that's going on WWE, and we go, yeah, that's clever. Yeah, that's funny. WWE needs to figure out a way to do it so that we say it's clever and not just go, ugh, another segment with Lana and Lashley.
Something that's maybe is Brock Lesnar is the number one person in the Rumble. It may not be, though.
Maybe. Just maybe. Like, did everyone else get excited for a second and go, wait a second, is he putting the title up? because that changes everything, right? One little difference in it and goes, I'm going in number 1 and I'm defending my title. That would be interesting to me. Obviously, they're just setting up a segment for WrestleMania, but it'd be interesting if they throw that in too.
I didn't think that. I was like, oh, okay, great. Now we're gonna have typical WWE writing where he's gonna go in number 1, and like you said, Chris, they're gonna attempt to set something up for WrestleMania, but no. Brock Lesnar's just going to run through 29 people and win the thing. And then it's going to be, oh, Brock Lesnar is the best thing since sliced bread.
No way.
He went in at number 1 and
He won't
rolled
win.
through everybody else and blah, 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 blah.
I don't think he'll actually win because I think the whole point of that setup.
I don't think so either.
The obvious setup would be he rolls through everybody and then Reigns throws him out at the end.
No, I don't even think he gets that far. I think Monday night was the beginning of Drew McIntyre finally getting his push. Because did you see how he like organically turned into a face? It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. He fights No Way Jose, who's a huge gimmick face, and to put over heels. And then somewhere in the middle to the end of the match, he all of a sudden, McIntyre just turned into a face and got the crowd like cheering behind him. And I think that's the beginning of McIntyre getting a face push. And why not have him come in and knock out Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble match and then eventually end up taking on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania?
I love that idea. I've been wanting them to push McIntyre since he came back. I think he's better as a heel, but if they want to make him a face so he can take out Brock, that is perfectly fine. He's great. He deserves to be a champion this year. He's got everything WWE looks for. He's pretty decent on the mic compared to some of the other bigger guys. And it's about time they put that stock in him that they seen 15 years ago when Vince crowned him the next big thing, you know?
He did that weird countdown thing. That was the only thing I wasn't really getting. Like he's trying to build a new like gimmick where he counts down 3, 2, 1, and I guess then he claymores people. So
yeah,
I don't know.
He
Another
did
angle
at the house show that I went to.
Okay. So see, these are the things that we have to pick up, Chuck. These are the things we have to bring to the podcast because that's interesting. And that's the whole point that we talked about last week about guys working on things during house shows, right? And having that's the time where they work on stuff, they build stuff, the crowds are able to bring that interaction to the live shows and to the tapings because now they've tried something out, it worked or it didn't work, and we're gonna bring it to TV. So that's interesting.
Why count down from 3 though? I mean, it's almost like it's the same the stomp for burning down 1, 2, 3. Why do intervals of 3? Give him something more unique. Let him yell something at him or something.
Because 3 is the magic number. Duh.
Well, and it obviously leads to us getting 3MB back. So yeah, it works for me.
3MB. Oh my gosh.
Oh, let it happen. McIntyre be the WWE champion, and then Jinder and Heath Slater being the tag champs.
WWE explodes.
Sounds interesting. I'll give it that. It sounds interesting.
Air guitars everywhere.
What about Mysterio losing his mask to Andrade, ripping it off, and then later on jumping Andrade in the back and taking his mask back? I wonder what angle this is leading to with Andrade versus Mysterio.
I enjoyed that match. I thought it was a good match. I liked the ending of it. I liked him ripping the mask off. I enjoyed Mysterio jumping him, getting his mask back. I mean, that all of that felt just like good, solid storyline through and through. Take a drink.
Drink.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know what? I mean, I look through so many of these angles and I wonder, not to push away from your question, but I wonder, like, am I sometimes one of the few that some of these angles don't work for?
Yes.
And one of those ones was the Becky Lynch Asuka segment.
Okay, now I disagree with you.
Where she and it's not that I didn't like the segment. It's that I was a little bit confused by it because Becky sucker punches Asuka and then walks away. And then I'm was like, well, this feels out of character to me. And I think that's why I was having difficulties with it. I'm like, it didn't make sense. Like, for somebody who always talks about how she wants to sit there and fight, she's afraid to fight Asuka.
I wasn't even harping on that. I was harping on the fact that drunk Asuka is the best Asuka, where she just comes out just yelling and screaming and
I love Asuka.
rambling nothingness.
Yeah, it's
and
not
all of a sudden dropping English words every once in a while.
Yeah, that wasn't the issue I had with the segment. Like, it was like she sucker punches her and then she walks away, and I'm thinking, what?
It's been done. It's absolutely been done. She's done it with Lacey Evans. She's done it with a bunch of different wrestlers. That's the storyline with Becky every time.
I think it was more of like yeah, I'm done with you right now. I'll see you at our match.
Can we just take the belt off of Becky Lynch already?
Maybe at the Rumble, man.
Asuka 2 belts.
No, that's not going to happen.
I
don't foresee an Asuka 2 belts.
Tap out, or does Asuka get pinned? I think that's a big difference, right? At Rumble, do you let her take the pinfall, or does she actually tap out? Because she's tapped Becky out, right? She tapped her out at Rumble 2 years ago, or no, 1 year ago. So
I don't even like them. I don't even like the match. I like the match. I like them as a pair of wrestlers fighting each other, but with the story that they've built, and also kind of slightly, and I'm sure maybe is Kyrie injured? I'm assuming
they're probably giving her some time. She took some crazy bumps in that match, and she needs some time.
Well, that being said, I still don't like the stagnation of the tag belts. So for me, that the storyline isn't ideal, because it's like, do something with the tag belts. If they can't run with them, have them lose them and give them to somebody else.
But the problem is, how many legitimate tag teams do you even have in the women's division?
Well, you can rebuild a few of them. Like, so for instance, Fire and Desire, I think, can be formidable, but you have to work on building them back up.
That's one tag team. You have the tag team champions and the Kabuki Warriors. That's two. Tea Time isn't a tag team. Tea Time is two individuals that every once in a while tag.
Cross and Bliss.
Iconics.
Oh, Iconics.
Where have they been?
I don't know, man. They need to be back, though.
And I still don't believe Cross and Bliss is a tag team. Those are two individuals that are tagging.
Yeah, but at least, and I agree with you, but at least they went for what, 2 months solid tagging together.
That as unbelievable as one of them is by themselves, having a match with somebody, the two of them together doesn't make it more believable. I think that's my issue with them. I believe Bliss by herself more than I believe the two of them together.
You want to hear one that I had issues with? And I watch NXT with Sarah and Chaz, my friends from up north, and we were watching that women's segment at the beginning of NXT, and it drove me crazy, like how that match formed into a match, because it didn't make any sense. It's like, Ripley's in the ring. Here comes Storm trying to challenge her. And then now here comes Kaylee Ray. And now here comes Io Shirai. And here comes Bianca Belair. And here comes Candice LeRae. And then all of a sudden, it's a tag match. And it's like, well, wait a second. That doesn't make sense. Everybody wants to fight Rhea Ripley. Like, if anything, it should have been this one big free-for-all. How did we turn this into a tag match? And I understand, like, the typical, like, wrestling 101, like, it's the good guys versus the bad guys. But they did a really crappy job of building into that for that segment. It's like, no, everybody wants to fight Rhea Ripley. I'm like, this is what the whole segment was about. And somehow it turned into a tag match.
I don't have issue with it. Go ahead, Chuck. You got a point to make?
I was just gonna say it would have been, if everyone is after Ripley, which of course everybody is, it would have been nice to see like the match actually not end and like someone, on Ripley's side just like all of a sudden just like turn on her and then it go into like a huge brawl.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. It would make a little bit more sense.
I don't know, man. Like, 'cause I feel like it's long-term storytelling, and it's not a big deal. Everybody had a reason for being out there, and most of it was to try to challenge Ripley. Uh, I mean, Casey, whatchamacallit, the UK champion, she was out there to just stop Storm from, bashing her, basically. Everyone had a reason for being out there. And then after the match, you got a little tease with LeRae, like double looking at the belt. It all leads to something else in the future, and it's a good way to build a 6-man tag without like the way that Raw and SmackDown do it. Think about the way that Raw and SmackDown do it that drives us crazy. It starts with one match, and then all of a sudden there's a run in, and it turns into another match. We complain about that. We complain about this. We got to have it one way or the other.
No. I think this is the exact same thing, though. I think the match itself. I think the second. No, I'm not arguing that. There's definitely story. I'm saying the match didn't match the match didn't match the story.
Why? What didn't match? Like what part of it didn't match?
The tag team portion of it did not match, and when you just the way that it ended, it still didn't match. So it was a bunch of good story at the front, a bunch of good story at the back, and then the match was just kind of like this thing in the middle that didn't quite make sense.
So I mean, basically,
but that's no different. I'm saying that's no different from any of the, sometimes they just throw out these 6-man tag matches, or I guess in this case, a 6-woman tag match on Raw and SmackDown, and I don't know that it's all that different. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's a lot cheaper on Raw and SmackDown, and these things that don't make sense at all, but because the 3v3, when almost everybody, except for save Kaylee Ray, is going after this one person, it doesn't necessarily make sense. So if anything, why not have it be a 4-way match between all the women that didn't have belts for a chance at the Rhea Ripley's title or something like that?
Because there's a battle royal next week for that.
Yeah, but to be fair, you did not know that during that spot. You did not know that during that spot. All I'm saying is make logical sense.
It makes logical sense. You don't know that during that spot, and it turns into look at all these people that are vying for Ripley's title. So you know what? Everyone's vying for it. We're gonna have a battle royal for the number 1 contender.
No, that makes sense. I'm saying that saying the tag team match didn't make sense.
I still think it makes sense. There's no problem with it. Even I'm assuming that if it was a 6-way match that was for the title, it wouldn't be a problem.
Or 6-way match in general, right? My thing was
no story. This. They're building a story that you love. They're building story before the battle royal. They're building story before more people compete against Ripley. This was just another chapter to that story.
And then the other problem was how quickly it formulated, because almost as soon, and I know this is the wrestling is, not real part of it, I guess, because it all happened
fourth wall
all happened too quickly. But like the 6 of them are in there and they brawl for a second, and then without like a moment of hesitation, all of a sudden a ref's down there saying, "Oh, Regal has said it's going to be." It's like, wait a second, he didn't even have time to comprehend what was happening. How did he already make a 3v3 match?
I think you underestimate how good William Regal really is.
Oh my gosh. I'm done. I'm done with this topic. You guys talk about it.
Hey, we don't agree. Period. That's what it comes down to. What we can agree on is NXT and the women's division specifically in NXT comes strong every single week, and it's nice to see that they lead with the women's division in NXT and show how good they really are.
I like their women's division. I think
only show that does that.
I think they're really good, and I agree with you. This segment just didn't quite make logical sense to me, and that's the one little downfall. I thought the match was fine. I thought the segment before and after was fine, but I didn't like that the match didn't quite jive with the story. Especially like if you really wanted to do good guys versus bad guys, it should have been people coming out in a different pace. It should have been one of the bad guys coming out to see Ripley instead of one of the good guys or girls or women. I don't know. You know what I mean? Instead of Tony Storm, maybe it should have been Io Shirai that came out first, and then Tony Storm. And
I
then,
was fine with the Tony Storm time.
Well,
yes.
I'm again. I like all of them. I just think the pace didn't make logical sense by the end of it.
I don't think it takes away from what we're doing with Rhea Ripley, what we're doing with Tony Storm, what we're doing with any of them. I don't think it takes away from it.
It takes away from the episode.
I don't think it took away from the episode. It was a good episode too. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here in the Battle Royal next week. I'm anxious to see who they bring out in that Battle Royal because there's a couple of women we haven't seen week to week that'll be interesting to see some spots. It's good stuff, man. NXT is good stuff. I mean, the rest of the night was always good. Gargano pulled a really good promo. I mean, once again, he gets in the ring and just fires off a bunch of truth, and a bunch of truth came out really good. And Finn Balor came out and fired some truth back at him, and I think that's going to be a good match. And again, these good promos come from a little bit of truth of these guys.
My only other two issues with the NXT was that Undisputed Era versus Gallus was a little underwhelming. It wasn't really that great of a match. And just one little spot in that Lee, Priest, Grimes, Dijakovic match. And it was just, okay, WWE. You know that the fans like these random spots where you have Keith Lee appear. Stop trying to do it every single time he has a match. He did it again, where the two guys were like choking each other, and then Keith Lee stands up. It wasn't good at all.
Wasn't good.
It was like, stop trying. It's like, first of all, the angle wasn't even right for it. And even if the angle was right, it still would have annoyed me because I'm like, you don't have to do this every single time. It's like,
so are you saying that there's overproduction in WWE sometimes?
Drake.
If that story we said production, I'm getting all sloshy right now.
I 100% agree, Chuck. I think you nailed it. They overproduced that. They tried too hard to get a gimmick over, and it didn't.
Well, they did one of the other gimmicks though. One of the other Keith Lee gimmicks where he like nailed Dijakovic like out of the ring, like he like shoulder hit him and like he flew over the ring. That looked great.
Yeah, they've done that spot a few times. Dijakovic's so good, man. That guy's got such a future. I know we're all in on Keith Lee right now, but I you can't sleep on Dijakovic. I'm all in on him.
I don't know that I'm all in on Keith Lee. I have issues with him. He's
hot take.
He's a little bit slow, and because of that, we talk about choreographed wrestling. Some of the quote unquote athletic things he does, they seem a little too choreographed to me sometimes.
You just shut your mouth right now, sir.
I mean,
I would like to see you do some of that stuff. There's no way he can do it fast. He's a big ass dude.
Well, so I'm supposed to give him a pass because it's choreographed? I mean, if I look at a little guy and he does stuff like that, and we sit here and bash him for his matches being too choreographed, what, I'm supposed to give Keith Lee a pass because he's just a bigger guy?
Dude, it's like comparing a NASCAR race car going around against like an 18-wheeler towing like an extra couple of 1,000 pounds.
I mean, I guess we just disagree on it.
Of course, the NASCAR is going to look faster.
Here's a way to compare it. Who do you enjoy watching wrestling more, Tyler Bate or Keith Lee?
Tyler Bate. That was a bad comparison. I love Tyler Bate.
No, I wasn't trying to get you to whatever. That's fine. And that proves your point that you like a more fast-paced strength, more fast-paced wrestling style, where Keith Lee is not that. He's a little slower, a little methodical. him and Dijakovic always had slow matches that I was like, man, these are slow, but they're interesting. And goes into your storytelling drink. And that is what is interesting about their interaction. You have time. It's more old school, because old school wrestling, dude, remember old school wrestling? It took forever to get through matches.
But to your point,
Headlock, arm lock, all these slow things. They're taking out the headlock, arm lock, and putting other things that are slow in there.
But to your point, I almost think Dijakovic is more effective at that style of wrestling than Keith Lee is.
I think he's great. You're not going to get an argument from me. I think he's all around. I think he's missing a little of the charisma that Keith Lee has, and that's why Keith Lee's over right now, and Dijakovic's somewhere in the middle.
I mean, I like both styles, but I mean, if I had a preference, I would rather see the big guy do what little guys do, and that's why I really like Keith Lee and Dijakovic, and
what's his name
to an
from
extent,
Viking Raiders?
Big E, who, yeah, exactly. They're not supposed. It's the mythos of big guys aren't supposed to do things that, like, smaller 200-pound guys do. And when you see them do it, whether it be too slow or botchy sometimes, maybe, like, it's still like, damn, that 350-pound dude just did a moonsault off the ropes.
And I think there's a way of doing it. My main issue, I think, came in is there was just a bit of chain wrestling in there, and the chain wrestling part of it just doesn't look very good when he's doing the athletic moves within that. Like, when they produce the spots, production, there you go, take another drink.
Drink.
When they produce the matches well, you don't see, like, especially when you have that many people, you can make it so you don't see those slow times, and it flows a little bit better.
I agree. Do you feel that, and I feel this way, do you feel that each one of those spots that Keith Lee does kind of always looks the same? Like, it's always the same, like 4 to 6 moves that happen in that, like, that little part right.
I would say that that's probably accurate, and it's probably because it's again, it's kind of a routine, right? It's like, okay, I've worked on this routine. I know I can do these moves a certain way, because to the point of big guys not doing the moves, I don't think Keith Lee is going to improvise like an AJ Styles might, like on the fly, and just do something crazy. I just, or like I guess if I wanted to go way out there, like a Ray Phoenix, just like seems like he improvises sometimes and does crazy stuff. I can't imagine a big guy doing that, and I think that that's fair, because you don't want to hurt yourself. It's tricky. I mean, wrestling is not, the one way that it's definitely not fake is the shit that they're doing in the ring. It's real. Shit hurts.
I would love to see Keith Lee do like a tightrope walk and then just like kick somebody right in the head.
Oh,
like,
God, I'd be so scared.
Like what happened on AEW.
Oh my God, I'd be so scared watching him do that too, though.
I think the rope would break like 3 steps in.
I get scared when Ray Phoenix does it, because it's a scary move to walk the rope.
Yeah, you're talking one like a ankle twist one way or the other, and you either got a nice little 4-foot drop on the mat or a 7-foot drop to the outside.
Yeah. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was a good match. There was a moment where I thought maybe Keith Lee wasn't going to win that match, just because I wasn't sure whether Keith Lee's path was going to be, okay, we're going to give him a mid-card title run, or we're going to make him go crazy in the Royal Rumble. And once they had him win that match, I'm like, okay, well, they're going the slow path, which I always prefer the slow path. The slow path is better. Like, you got Keith Lee, he's getting kind of organically over. You don't have to throw him into the big time and just have him do a bunch of crazy stuff. Because the last thing we need is for Keith Lee to go into the Royal Rumble and suddenly eliminate Brock Lesnar, and then you're opening up a big old can of worms and throwing him up there way, way, way too fast.
Yeah, that that situation definitely would not benefit Keith Lee, and I don't even think that would benefit Brock Lesnar.
I'm not even sure the two of them, having watched both of them wrestle quite a bit, could actually put on a really good match because their styles kind of conflict with each other. Like, how would he really show off his athleticism against Brock Lesnar? I mean, it would just be like, it's just, I don't know, big guy versus big guy. It's always like that power match thing, and I don't even know that Brock Lesnar's good at that. I can't stand Brock Lesnar.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna scream. I mean, anymore.
We already did the Midol segment for today.
Yeah. I'm good with that. I mean, nothing else really bothered me except, and this was just like a small thing where the payoff was so weak, and that was like, oh, Samoa Joe is like, hey, Kevin Owens, I'm telling you, I got somebody to fight with us, and you're really gonna like it. And here, let me take you to this room and show. And then Kevin Owens walks in, and he walks back out, and he's got a big smile. Yeah, that's what I like. And it could have been anybody other than Big Show, and it would have been more exciting. Anybody. Am I alone on that? Like, the Big Show. Like, the only way that I felt like it could have salvaged that segment is had Big Show immediately turned on Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, and they just all beat the crap out of Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, because it's the Big Show. He's not... Listen, he literally got into the ring, and immediately you saw, yeah, we're bringing this from a nostalgia perspective, and this guy really can't wrestle anymore because he's had some issues more recently.
Yeah, I mean, he recently had, well, not recently, but a while ago he had surgery. Like, he's been cleared, I think, for at least the last 2 months, because I remember us talking about it, that he had been cleared. I forget in what aspect, but yeah, I just don't. I mean, yeah, great. Like, bring back, the Big Show as the mystery partner, the third person. It's great. It gives you the big pop. But where is Big Show gonna go from here? Like, what is he gonna do? Is he just gonna come in every once in a while? Because he's got to be on, his last leg here with, being an in-ring personality. I mean, in my opinion, because he's, just like you said, he's been beat up over the years. He's a big dude. He's been beat up. What are you going to do with him? Like, who is he going to go after somebody? Is even in there?
Chuck, you are breaking up like mad. That's good stuff.
Oh shit! My thing went down to, yeah. I'm bad.
Chuck the robot.
Hey, there we go.
Chuck the robot. Chuck the robot.
Well, here's one point with the Big Show. It's about to be WrestleMania season, so why not bring the Big Show back? Right? Why not try to lure in a celebrity to have a one-on-one match with Big Show? Maybe, I don't know, maybe Tyson Fury wants another match at WrestleMania. God. Maybe finally you get Shaq to take on the
trolling me.
Wait for it. I'm trolling everybody. I'm just saying this has got to be for a bigger reason. WWE doesn't just do stuff to do stuff. I feel like they're trying to build they need a celebrity match. You always have a celebrity match at WrestleMania or something, some guest or something. So why not bring the Big Show back and try to
Hogan,
bring something back? Not Hogan. Who's Hogan in a fight?
Big Show.
That's stupid. That makes no sense.
When he says Shaq, it's okay, but when you say Hogan, it's stupid.
Yes, because Shaq makes sense. There's a story there. Haven't you?
Yeah, there is.
There's history with
gotcha.
Shaq and Big Show.
Listen. You're
Don't you
all
come
wrong.
firing at me.
You're all wrong. The WrestleMania match is going to be Braun Strowman versus a kindergarten class, and the kindergarten class is going to whoop his ass. And everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, that match was so great."
No, I don't think that's good at all. That's
I know, but that actually sounds like you remember Nicholas,
my
Yep.
brother or the guy who was the tag team champion?
No,
the guy,
the one-time tag team champion.
yeah, the one-time tag team champion, Nicholas. Oh
Yes.
my gosh,
Hey,
so
one
bad.
more time than us, right? One more time than us. What is a fist fight?
Huh?
What is a fist fight? Because next week,
Well,
there's a
well,
fist fight.
Christopher, that is when it is almost like a boxing match, but you don't have gloves on.
Chuck is a
and you
professional
fight
fist
each
fighter.
other with your fists.
Chuck has fist fought people time and time again.
Yes, there is no kicking, there is no headbutting, there is no holding. You literally just use your fists to fight.
The only exception is if it's a Ranger fan, there's no rules. Cheap
True
shots
fact,
are allowed.
Jack.
I mean, there's no way
Ball shots
anybody else wins that match but Big Show. Big Show just needs to punch everybody once. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
And I was going to say, where does Big Show go from here? He's just, I mean, give him a week, he'll be a heel. Give him another week, he'll be a face. Give him another week, he'll be a heel. He flip-flops so much. He's just going to go back to that Big Show.
Well, maybe it's a mixed tag team match, and he's gonna be with Lacey Evans, and they're both gonna have one punch knockouts, and they'll do them at the same time, coordinated.
WrestleMania mixed tag match in the making. There you go.
There you
Lacey
go.
Evans and the Big Show.
Oh my God, this is why I hate WrestleMania.
They're on different brands. You can't do that. There's no, rules like that.
Okay, good point. Why the hell are the Usos on SmackDown then?
Because Roman Reigns gets the backup he deserves.
Drives me crazy. Like, why? That was so bad. Why are the Usos on SmackDown with no explanation? None. Like,
It's family. They're all related to The Rock, so they do no wrong. They can get arrested for drugs and assault and everything. And it's, keep them away for 4 or 5 months and bring it back in with Roman Reigns, and it'll all be hunky-dory.
I'm fine with them coming back. There needs to be an explanation why they're on SmackDown. Was there a trade? Were they released by Raw? Like, just put one little explanation in there for me so there's continuity in the story. Drink.
I agree with you 100%. Obviously, I'm all about, the story needs to make sense. And the one thing I'll say about the Usos being on SmackDown is I don't have an issue from that. Again, if you use the story, keep them there because I think they're better put there because I think that, especially this past week, you have the Viking Raiders versus the OC versus the Street Profits in a pretty darn good match. And I think that they've got some chemistry going now with the tag division in Raw with at least a few of those tag teams. So let's do the same thing on SmackDown. Again, we always complain, build up your tag team division. And who better than the Usos who can go on SmackDown and, start doing the whole tag thing again and really get it going again.
I think arguably WWE all of a sudden has the better tag teams again. I mean, again, we talk about this debate on who's the top couple of tag teams, but as far as a full roster goes, you just named the Raiders, OC, the Profits.
Yeah, they're
You
getting
go
there.
to SmackDown, you got the New Day, you got the Revival, you got Miz and Morrison. They're about to start tagging again. You got the Usos back. I mean, those are a lot of strong tag teams.
Yeah, now they just need to give them the time and put the work in.
I'm still hoping that they give the tag teams a main event match. I think the tag teams, especially the Usos and the New Day and the Revival, I mean, these guys that have been working their butts off and being on the pre-show, being the first match of the night, and stealing the show. Give the tags a main event, just one main event. I don't even care what pay-per-view it is. Just give them one shot to main event, and they will tear the house down, being the main event spot.
Yeah, it always feels like the tag teams, the the cruiserweight, the not so much the women's match anymore. Like the Intercontinental, the US, like it always seems like they're the, and no pun intended for anybody who hasn't seen my gorgeous face. I have red hair, but they seem to be the redheaded stepchild of like main event matches.
Well, let's clarify. You have red facial hair.
Hey, listen, I once had hair on my head. Leave it alone. I shave my head as a lifestyle choice. Let's just put it at that.
Listen, there's something to the bald monkeys portion of the bald monkeys listeners. If you want to know what a bunch of us look like, a bunch of us don't have very much hair at all. Except for Steven, who's got way too much of it.
Hey, what do you mean way too much? I got enough to try to, justify y'all not having it.
Hey, listen, man, this is
I
not
don't
called
talk
the
about
Not
this.
Bald Monkeys podcast.
I've never felt attacked for having hair before until now.
Well, you're friends with a bunch of bald people, so yeah. Deal with it.
Remind me to just run my fingers through my hair the next time I see you, just for the whole time I'm around you.
That would be very awkward.
Creepy, even.
Too, I know you guys aren't used to being able to do that.
Oh my goodness! So, what did you
Let's,
guys hate? I want to hear one of you guys yell about something, please.
I don't know. There's anything I hated this week. Like, I mean, there was a bunch of decent wrestling, a bunch of good promos here and there. I was gonna jump over to AEW a little bit and kind of talk through one thing that I don't want to say hate, because I didn't hate it. I just disliked it. So we see the brothers fighting. We see Lucha Brothers versus Cody and Dustin. And there was a moment where there was a hot tag, and I think it was Dustin got the hot tag, or maybe Cody. I think it was Cody actually got the hot tag. And the Lucha Brothers are in the corner waiting for basically Cody to come and attack them. And it looks really staged, really choreographed, to the point where like Phoenix is just sitting there waiting for Cody to run at him so he could like vault him into the corner so Cody can do like a Cody Rana or whatever the hell they called it. And it's feeling a little bit more choreographed every single week I see the Lucha Brothers. Yes, they have spots in there that I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But there's more choreographing than those spots. And those spots are great and the crowd gets really, popped for them. But I feel like, again, I keep saying this. I think you should split the Lucha Brothers up and let them be singles wrestlers. I think they're stronger as individuals than as a tag team, because you almost force them to do things like this, these choreographed moves, instead of letting them have a match organically, letting them be the heel, that he can be in Sierra Meadow, and Ray Phoenix needs to be the underdog. That's what made him really good in Lucha Underground, right? Like Ray Phoenix was fighting the bigger guys, and you never knew if he was gonna come out of it alive, let alone
Oh
win
my
the
god,
match.
the matches he used to have with Mil Muertes were crazy.
But that's what I mean. It's like, think about the potential of those guys as individuals versus you have plenty of tag teams on that show. You don't need the Lucha Brothers. You have Private Party. You have Jurassic Express. You have the Best Friends. You have the Dark Order. You have enough tag teams. You don't need the Lucha Brothers. Let them go individual and let them build a mid card even with those guys as individuals. Because right now, obviously, you have Jericho and Moxley up top. So let's go ahead and let these guys be individuals in the middle, and then maybe Omega, Page, the Lucha Brothers, they could all be individuals in the middle. And think about those four having a four-way match or something, because they're all individuals. it'd just be more interesting, I think, and I think they're missing the mark.
Yeah, I think with AEW in particular, I used to always push like the hardcore wrestling, and we used to talk about how you have an interesting cast of characters that can be those hardcore wrestlers. You've got the Darby Allins and the Jimmy Havoc's and the Joey Janela's and obviously Moxley's like towards the top of that. But you have an interesting one that we don't talk about very often, which is Pentagon. Pentagon is a very fun hardcore wrestler. But right now he's just doing Lucha Libre. And, the choreographed thing with Lucha Libre is always going to be there. I mean, that's kind of just the style. I mean, it's very choreographed. And sometimes some of those moves are difficult to make look organic, like they're just happening. A lot of them do look like they're staged. So that in itself is a problem, and I think that it's easier to cover up, like you said, if they're not a tag. Because when they're a tag team and they're doing tag team spots, it looks even worse than if they're just in, singles matches, I guess.
I think it's an opportunity. That's it. Again, I don't hate it. It's just I think it could be better, and that's I find myself saying that a lot with AEW. I'm not necessarily giving them a pass. I'm just pointing out things that I think are going to continually get better for them.
I was going to say one of my followers, they tweeted something that made me laugh, which was that AEW is the best at introducing people that nobody knows. During that Riho match, when you had Dr. Luther come out or whatever, and like, what was it, grab Statlander or something, and every you're just like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what the hell is going on?
He's a deathmatch specialist from overseas, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
that whole Nightmare Collective gimmick is dumb. You know how I say the Lana thing is not working? The Nightmare Collective is not working. It's taking away from the show.
Yeah, I don't it just seems it's for me it's not that it's even a bad idea as much as it is how. So if Marty eventually comes to AEW, and who knows if he will or not, but if he does, and he brings along with him this Villain Enterprises thing, then you have the Nightmare Collective, you have the Dark Order, you have Villain Enterprises, and you then have this random tag team, the Butcher and the Blade. And at some point, it's like, wait, why is everybody dark? Like, everybody's dark. Like, we can't have this much dark, There's too many factions that are, like, trying to be dark and ominous or whatever. And so if you're going to bring in Villain Enterprises, which I think is a very good idea for AEW, I think you need to cut off the weakest link. And the weakest link, to me, is the Nightmare Collective.
See, that's not even, I mean, I agree, but that's not even my biggest issue with what they did this week, because I feel like we've made this argument in the past that when you do something in the middle of a match or at the end of a match, you're a little bit telling in how much you trust the wrestling and trust the characters to carry a match. And the fact that they had to use the Nightmare Collective in the Riho Statlander match, which everyone was excited about, right? Everyone was excited to see Statlander get that shot and go up against Riho. It took away from that match entirely, which that match even felt a little bit, weird, right? It didn't feel like it flowed, right?
There were okay, there were okay spots in that match, but I don't think I'm alone. I definitely know I'm not alone in this podcast in saying that Riho needs to drop the belt to somebody. She's just a little too small, and the problem with her size is it makes her unbelievable. So if you're not going to bring somebody like Yuki back to face her, then you need to have her drop the belt and give it to somebody else. The question then is who, though? Don't give it to Britt Baker. This is the bi-weekly PSA from me and Christopher saying, do not give the title to Britt Baker. She is, in fact, not a very good wrestler. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I said it from Rio's first match. It's like the comparison would be giving the AEW championship, the heavyweight championship, to Marco Stunt. I mean, they're very similar. They're both tiny for the competition that they go against. But I mean, going back to like the Nightmare Collective coming out, I mean, it's just a continuation of the storyline between Statlander and Brandy. You know, we've seen them come out multiple times, so it's just another little way. Like, did I like it? No. Do I hate every time when like JR and whoever the hell is up there going, oh my God, who's that? Who's this guy? Like, it's just so stupid. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, just tell us who it is and don't be like, oh my God, I don't have any information on this person, even though it's sitting right in front of me in my script. It's like, come on, get over it. Like, just don't be like when you're on the mic there. That was stupid. I agree. The whole Nightmare Collective is stupid. The shaving of the head, stupid. What is the point of that? Why did we shave one person's head, but Awesome Kong still has all her hair? Like, is that just because she's like Brandy's right hand woman? Like, it's so dumb. Just leave it at that. Just have somebody kick the crap out of all of them and just be done with it, because it's dumb. I'm done.
It was a good one. It wasn't a bad rant at all. Okay, so we're gonna go to the Riho thing. I think it's good to keep it on Riho right now because it's almost oddly building heat. It's almost weird that it's like they're forcing us to believe Riho is a champion, and people are still. It's almost like the John Cena effect, where good wrestling fans are, well, I should say good wrestling fans, older wrestling fans are, booing or going to start booing, where the younger wrestling fans are probably still into her because she's, a fan favorite. It could be interesting if they just keep it on her and push the envelope a little bit to see if they can get that same reaction from the crowd. Because alternatively, who else would you put the belt on? Like, I don't know that there's anybody
Cheetah?
better to put the belt on, right? Well, but is Cheetah any? No. You didn't get me.
He just
He went. Oh,
You didn't get me. Is Cheetah any different than Riho? If you put the
Yes.
belt on Cheetah, is it any different of a character?
Well, she's more believable.
Okay, fine, but is it any different of a character? You're still putting the belt on a face that's a fan favorite. Like, I don't feel like it's any different of a character. What's the change? It's just you're just
Better
sliding the belt
wrestling?
over to another person who's a little bit better in the ring or has more chemistry with the other wrestlers in the ring.
I'm just trying. Like, I'm not worried. Because the problem is they kind of shot themselves in the foot. So I'm less worried about coherent story in the women's division as opposed to the product needs to be good first before we worry about the story, which is interesting because I don't say that very often. I'm usually very story forward.
To do that. But they don't have the wrestlers to do that.
A handful of wrestlers to do it, but not. I would agree, not quite enough.
Nyla Rose, Statlander, Sheeta, Shauna. That's 4. That might be it.
Yeah, I mean, Big Swole isn't awful, but not great.
There's those 4, and then there's kind of everybody else.
Yeah,
and Riho's, obviously Riho's size kind of kills her because I'm sure if she was a bigger wrestler or had some, weight to her, she'd be more believable. But it's just I feel like the roster isn't there for them to do what we want them to do. So this is what we get instead: the Nightmare Collective coming in and I just don't think it was necessary for them to interfere in that match. Just have them come in after the match. They didn't have to interfere to make Statlander lose.
To your point, though, maybe they're being more subtle than we think they are. And if you accumulate all the last things, like you said, it's like she's getting heat because, they had that big, 5-way match or 4-way match, and
Yeah, she
Riho
kinda
kind
stole
of
it.
stole the pin. And then this time, like, they came out and kind of gave her the pin. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit subtle. And if you're not thinking about it, like, well, maybe that's where we're headed.
But Riho ended up going and fighting them or whatever. Like Sheeta came in and protected. Like they should have let Riho get the win and then just disappear from the interaction that was going on.
Unless you're playing the long game.
To question, like, so we question it whether Riho is part of it, whether why. But ultimately, this is the Maria Kanellis angle in Impact. This isn't any different than what Maria did in Impact, where she tried to like run the women's division. It's the same story. It's the same gimmick. So that's why I'm even more against it. I don't feel like it's original.
Wow, I don't know that anything's original, but yeah, I mean,
Okay,
they're-
interesting enough to be.
yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think
What is?
I
what
think
is
there's a few people that they need to use a little bit more. I think
Yes.
I think Sadie Gibbs is pretty good. But she's never on. You know what I mean? And
No.
obviously, if they could get Yuka Sakazaki, she's very good as well.
Priestley
Penelope.
too.
Penelope Ford's not bad either.
Priestley's okay. She's a bit botchy, but it's almost like it's interesting. She's almost like how Ronda Rousey was when she first started. It's almost like, wow, that looked bad because it's kind of awkward, but it still looked good.
But so Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Penelope Ford, Yuka Sakazaki, Sadie Gibbs. I think you have enough
You
people.
can't put Yuka in there. Yuka hasn't wrestled in months. You can't put Yuka in there.
The only reason I'm throwing Yuka in there is because you had Omega actually being asked questions, and one of those questions specifically was, "Have we seen the end of Yuka Sakazaki?" And he's like, "Not by a long shot." So, my question to that is, I don't know. I need to do some research on Yuka. I mean, because she was always, when they first debuted, like all of these Asian wrestlers, she was always, I don't want to totally speak for you, but I'm pretty sure she was always our favorite.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
nowhere
excited
close.
to see more of her, and yeah, unfortunately, well, Sheeta was pretty close too. I think it was a 1A 1B kind of thing, but yeah, it'd be nice. Maybe she's just got a lot of commitments, and maybe she'll be back here in 2020 soon. But ultimately, does it feel like anybody should be beating Nyla Rose? Maybe Statlander. Statlander looked pretty good. Sheeta obviously impressed me with what she did last week. But like ultimately, like who could beat Nyla Rose? Like believably of any other wrestler besides Statlander and Sheeta? I don't think anyone.
Nobody. I'm looking at their women's roster right now, and there's no one on there that believably could beat her.
Unless, and this is a big unless, if Awesome Kong could get a little bit better in the ring, maybe. But
Nope.
I just don't think that's going to happen. I think she is what she is at this point.
Yeah, that's not going to change. How about the fact that Orange Cassidy is actually somehow snuck in, and he's more over than Luchasaurus?
Oh yeah.
Did anybody else notice that? Like, holy cow, the pop when that guy got in the ring and did his few little spots that he did.
I mean, really, you're talking about two of the most over wrestlers in the company in the ring at the same time.
Yeah, that's
It was fun.
Don't you feel like Luchasaurus has lost a little bit of steam, though?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I think that's just because they haven't been. I mean, he hasn't really been on TV, all that much at all either.
But Cassidy's, I mean, he just comes out and kind of stands with the best friends and gets over. The little things he does in the background is what really gets him over. Where Luchasaurus last week, you couldn't even. I still don't know what he said in that promo. And then this week he comes out and he gets booed because he, didn't let Orange Cassidy do his super kick.
I mean, I think
Disappointing.
Cassidy is more over because I mean, that whole gimmick is hilarious. Like it's way more interesting than a dude pretending to be a dinosaur.
To your point,
Pretending?
Chuck. To your point, Chuck. I have been to an AEW show with Christopher, and he turns into a little child when he watches Orange Cassidy. He loves every single thing that Orange Cassidy does.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I wish Luchasaurus could have been more of a part of that night, but Orange Cassidy, Chris is like a little schoolgirl at a One Direction.
Wow.
This is true. It's all true. He's not saying anything, but it's true.
I'm not saying anything because it is true. Dude, I popped, like, you guys remember when I popped for the Hurricane when he came out
Oh
at
my
the
God.
Rumble?
You went
It's
wild.
very similar to that, man. Like if something's working for me, I love it. And that's what I want. I want to turn into a 14-year-old kid again, loving wrestling. That's what I watch every freaking hour of wrestling for. That's why I'm sitting here on a podcast talking about wrestling, because I love wrestling and I want to have that feeling when I was 14 and just amazed by what was going on the TV.
Are you saying that you want to have a rematch for our title?
Oh, dude, we might die. Like, I don't know, like break a hip or something, or I don't know if we can handle that, man.
I agree.
I mean, we talk about slow moving matches. Maybe we could thumb wrestle for it. Maybe we'll
There
do
you
that.
go. There you go.
You guys ready to do some picks real quick? I know we're all going to probably be in the dark here, but we're going to try it anyway because competition's got to be competition's got to be competition.
Can we just touch?
I mean,
we didn't touch SmackDown, but not even SmackDown. Can we touch on the Moxley joining the Inner Circle? No, he didn't join the Inner Circle. That was such a well put together spot that we have to
fantastic.
It was well put together. It was expected, but the way they pulled it off was great. I expected it coming, but I was very entertained and happy with how.
I was actually explaining that because I was watching AEW and I was talking to a few of my friends from up north, and I started like giggling by the end of it, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "You know what's funny about this segment?" I said, "It was obvious. Like everybody, even though they were booing, it was obvious that he wasn't actually joining the Inner Circle, but it was fun to watch. You know, even though it was predictable, it was fun." Which goes to show you don't always have to have some twist for something to be interesting.
I just love it. But I was kidding.
But
Inner Circle's a stupid name.
It is kind of a stupid name. Jumping back towards SmackDown, Jimmy, the whole Morrison stuff I enjoyed. That's the only really thing I think you need to catch up on. The rest of it's kind of, you could probably predict it. But they actually let Morrison do one of his parkour kind of things at one spot during the Miz's match, and it was. I think they're slowly bringing him back in, and I think they have to do something at the Rumble to let him just go crazy with his personal skills.
Yeah, it was a really good spot where he kind of jumped and hit Big E, and now Big E and Morrison are having a match next week on SmackDown, and there's plenty of time this month to kind of build to putting them all either in a tag match at the Rumble or in the Rumble. And to your point, letting him go wild in the Rumble and letting Kofi go wild in the Rumble will be interesting to see what they could put together, and it'll be fun. It's almost like the old Morrison already.
Yeah, and just him and the Miz's chemistry was just right back to where it needed to be, and it was good. And I think you let them tag for a little bit before you start pushing them separately. And I think Morrison should and rightfully deserves the right push this time that they tried to give him with ECW before they realized that the WWE's ECW was garbage. So I think it's going to be a good stint for him this time around.
Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion that they're tagging. I think Morrison was giving it away a little bit on the mic when he was talking at the desk with Big E and going back and forth, because it seemed like he kept referencing that where, now we're back. Now we'll be the best tag team for going forward because Big E said we're the last best tag team of the last decade. So it's the right direction. They need to kind of bring him in that way and introduce him to the crowd, and then they can break up because there's a whole new group of wrestling fans now that have no idea who Morrison is.
That's true. He's been away, I think is it 7 years?
About 8 years, yeah. It's been a while. So they got to reintroduce him a little bit because there's definitely people who have no clue who he is.
I want them to push him as a heel so bad. Like, I want him eventually to be a singles wrestler that's a heel. My only issue is that with him being in a tag team, they'll push them as heels, but when they split them up, they'll inevitably make Morrison the face of the two of them. But I think Morrison's such a good heel, and he's proven that in his time away. So, well,
He'll get there.
The competition for nothing, boys. Competition for nothing. We really need to start putting something into these picks. Like, what? We haven't brainstormed that. What do we get for getting picks right? We used to do it for drinks.
A new belt, drinks, or we got to put together like a new belt or something, or I don't know. Tweet at us, message us, give us some ideas. We'll start brainstorming and figure out what people get for winning these things, because I think who's reigning champion right now? Is it still Chuck?
Yeah, it's Chuckles at the moment.
Yeah.
You and I tied.
We tied, so I would assume you keep it, tie goes to the champion.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you and I tied the last time. I won the one before, so I guess it's me.
Well, let's do these let's do these picks real quick so that afterwards we can talk about ice cream bars. Yes. I have not forgotten.
Yes.
Okay, so first match is going to be between Trent Seven and Eddie Dennis. And I guess I'll go first. I think that Trent Seven is going to win this match. No problem.
I agree with you, sadly.
Yeah, it's got to be Trent Seven. I agree.
And I'll go for the quad.
Next match is going to be Tyler Bate versus Jordan Devlin. I hope Jordan Devlin doesn't win this match. I can't imagine anybody beating Tyler Bate. I don't think it's the right move, so I'm going with Tyler Bate.
I agree with you once again, Tyler Bate all day.
I'm going to go the other direction. I think Devlin is a good heel for them to kind of push, because there's people like us that just don't get it or don't like him. I mean, he's a decent wrestler, but he's not as over as Tyler Bate, and I think it'd be good to give him some heat and let Devlin beat Bate. So I'm going to go with Jordan Devlin.
I am going with Tyler Bate.
Next, we have the NXT UK Tag Team Championship, and it's a 4-way ladder match. This match could be really good, by the way. So we have Gallus, which is Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, versus Imperia's Marcel Barthol and Fabian Archer, the grizzled young veterans Zach Gibson and James Drake, and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. Man, this is tough. I believe that I would enjoy seeing Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster actually take this. I think that there was a time where I didn't like this tag team, but especially with the last pay-per-view that they had, I think they really brought it when they had a match, and I think that they can bring it again, and I would really enjoy getting behind them, because I think they've really gotten so much better as a tag team.
I disagree this time. I think there's no need to take the titles off the champions. I think Coffey and Wolfgang could.
See, I think there's a reason behind a couple of these matches, and I think we are leading up to a showdown before the Royal Rumble.
Worlds collide.
So I am going to pick Imperium winning probably one of the better ladder matches of I was going to say the year, but it's only been 11 days. But it's going to be a really good match.
Be like, of January.
Of January. No, I think these guys are going to put on a show. Like, these are 4 great tag teams in UK. They have some strong tag teams quietly, a lot of different styles. It'll be fun to watch, and I hope nobody gets hurt, but I think Imperium wins this.
Well, Christopher is thinking the same way I am. I am definitely picking Imperium in this because at Worlds Collide we are going to have the dripped, flooding in gold undisputed era against Imperium, and Imperium's going to need some gold of their own. So that's why I think Imperium's going to take this, which will lead to who I'm going to pick for a later match, but we'll get there in a little bit.
It's good. It's good logic, I think. So the next one is NXT UK Women's Championship. It's a triple threat match between Kaylee Ray, Toni Storm, and Piper Niven. And don't sleep on Piper Niven. She is going to win this match.
I disagree again. It's Toni Storm, especially setting up for Worlds Collide for champion versus champion.
I think you got an idea there for Worlds Collide, but I think we're actually going to just keep Toni Storm in the match, and we're going to let Kaylee Ray win this match tomorrow, and Toni Storm just enter herself, and it'll be maybe a triple threat match at Worlds Collide, or maybe even throw another person in there and make it a four-way match and let it be Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley and Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm all in a match at Worlds Collide. But in this match specifically, I just think Kaylee Ray is, I think she's a good heel, man. I think she's proven herself. We didn't believe her at first, and I'm really into her now. Hopefully she didn't get too hurt this week, but she seems okay. So I'm gonna say she retains.
Kaylee Ray keeps the belt and wins this match.
And then the final match is the United Kingdom Championship match versus Walter and Joe Coffey. And spoiler alert, as Paul Heyman would say, it's Walter all day long.
I would like to see them plug some stuff, like have Walter win by DQ because Undisputed Era comes out and takes him out. Try to just plug some stuff, but Walter wins it.
I'd kind of be upset if Walter doesn't win this match. I don't hate Joe Coffey, but hasn't he had his shots already, and hasn't he blown those shots when didn't he fight Tyler Bate, or who was, no, I'm sorry, he fought Dunn. He fought Pete Dunn, and it was like botch city with a couple of the moves. Joe Coffey's got a specific style, and it's not terrible, but it's not championship material. I think Walter deserves to continue to hold on to this belt. And again, it makes sense to going into Worlds Collide with the belts all on, Imperium, and the belts all on Undisputed Era.
And I will go for the four-way there and Walter.
So that's all done. So let's move on to the most important business of the day.
Liv Morgan again?
Nope, that is not, definitely not. But I will say the moments I live for are when they bring back ice cream bars, and how important that this is.
Okay, CM Punk.
I know, and CM Punk, he's many years ago started the, why haven't we brought back the ice cream bars? But finally, Good Humor is going to bring back Superstar ice cream bars. Sandwiches, ice cream sandwiches.
You're
right.
So we're not quite all the way there, but at least they're bringing back the nostalgia of these amazing ice cream bars that we went crazy for as kids. And yes, CM Punk, if you haven't seen it out there, I think I tweeted it, had some amazing promos where he continually referenced, why haven't we gotten back WWE ice cream bars? And he even he negotiated that in a contract with Vince McMahon when he was leaving WWE. So everyone, I think, has good memories of these ice cream bars. Hillbilly Jim on the ice cream bar, the Animal Steel, Andre the Giant, like Macho Man. I don't remember ever getting a Hacksaw Jim Duggan though. That that does bug me. When I was thinking about this, I was like, could they maybe put some old school wrestlers on these ice cream bars that I never got in the past? Or just guys that I missed. Like I would love to get like a Coco Beware ice cream sandwich. Honky Tonk Man used to be on it. Ted DiBiase. Like that's what I'm looking for, the nostalgia of it. But
No,
really,
no.
who are
What
we
you
gonna
really
get?
want?
We're
What
gonna
you
get the
really
new
want?
guys.
No, what you really want is the hurricane ice cream sandwich.
Oh my god! And if it could be green, that'd be like the greatest thing in the world. Like I don't even like mint ice cream, but I'll eat it if it's got the hurricane on it.
How about you, Chuck? If you could have any ice cream bar, any wrestler on your ice cream bar or ice cream sandwich, who would it be? Oh,
I can't speak for him, but I would like, Eddie Guerrero or something like that.
Eddie Guerrero. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Wow.
Latino
That's really
heat ice cream
good.
bar. I like it.
Yeah.
Or ice cream sandwich. I'm digging that, man. I would like to get the because they're talking about it'd be like a 4-pack of sandwiches. Well, maybe I would like the 8-pack of mini Hornswoggle ice cream sandwiches. Thank you very much.
Or if it's a 4-pack, how about the 4 Horsemen?
Yeah, that could be very good. 4 horsemen.
4 horsewomen. Hey, have we talked about any of the women being on these ice cream sandwiches?
We haven't. So what would be your favorite woman ice cream bar?
Well, I mean, I would enjoy if there was an Alexa Bliss ice cream sandwich, or if there was a Tony Storm ice cream sandwich. I mean, I could eat that ice cream. Chuck got so excited about ice cream that he just went to the store to go see if they have any. Like he's gone. Like that's it. Chuck was
He
like,
just
"Hey,
left.
you guys talking about ice cream? I want ice cream."
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the ice cream sandwich though. My only thing would be, right now some of the images I've seen for him are kind of pretty, standard.
Cena, Reigns,
Yeah,
Becky Lynch,
stuff like that.
I see Macho Man popping up a lot.
And it would be nice though. It would be nice though too, because they're all like, like kind of like the vanilla type cookie sandwiches or whatever, with like the black writing on them. I would like to see a variation that's like dark with like the white writing on it or something like that too. And then you could have like the face sandwiches and then the heel sandwiches. Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
Oh, we got his ice cream. Did you get your ice cream?
I don't think I ever had one of these ice cream bars.
What?
Dude, I'm trying to remember, and I'm like, I vaguely remember like the pictures on them, kind of, but to be honest with you, I don't think I ever had one of these, and I feel that's a travesty being a fat man.
Well, I can say I don't think I've ever had them either, but I think that's just because I wasn't old enough to enjoy them when they were out, like some of you people.
Yes, I'm older, and yes, I've
It
probably
wasn't a trying to
experienced
being
it.
old. I just think that like
I think it was.
the late '80s, early '90s, and stuff. I wasn't old enough to be eating ice cream all the time like other kids, like your
Oh,
age.
yeah, I had a healthy, diet of just ice cream bars. Like that's basically what I ate all day. Just three
Well, I'm
three
saying
square meals a day of ice cream.
if you look at me and Chuck, you could probably believe that sometimes we just ate nothing but ice cream all the time. We got some girth on me.
I agree. I mean, I was definitely more of, when the ice cream guy came down the street, I was definitely more of the baseball mitt with the bubblegum ball in the mitt. I was one of those guys.
I was the Ninja Turtles ice cream bar when I was a little kid.
Oh, with the bubble gum nose.
Yeah.
They did the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles.
See, I was more of a snow cone kid. Like I enjoyed the snow cone. Like the fact that you just got a snow cone in that plastic bag and you start eating the snow cone and the colors are all different, but then like halfway through everything melts and it becomes the purple like slurry, which was like the best thing ever.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong? I can't
That's
believe.
so good.
No, nobody goes and gets the snow cone from the ice cream truck.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, you know why you could always do that? Because nobody ever gets them. So you're the only one getting it.
You're crazy. The snow cones are awesome like that. The Italian ices,
I
you
love
get the
Italian
rainbow
ice.
Italian ice. Same thing. You wait till it kind of like mixes together. The purple slurry is the place.
Purple slurry.
This conversation took a very weird turn. Real
Hey,
quick.
ice cream's important, man. And
Yeah.
actually, you know what's, when I was younger, I used to be all about the crazy flavors too. But as I've gotten older, I've become a little bit more simple. So now I appreciate. This is why I say I wish that WWE would make like the dark cookie version of like the chocolate cookie version of the ice cream sandwich, because I like standard ice cream sandwiches a lot nowadays.
Well,
They're
I
simple,
mean,
they're
and
good.
to be honest, where like the technology is for this kind of stuff, you would think that they would also do it in like full color. I mean, you could get a cake with a photo on it now. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, they didn't talking about the company who, you know, only started using pyro again because AEW kind of forced them into using pyro again. So they're trying to save
True.
money where they can. Oh, well, hey, everybody at home, you know what? If you've made it all the way through this podcast, we want to hear from you. Comment and tell us what you want on your ice cream bar. You know, tell us how crazy Chris is for being that weird kid who ate snow cones in the bags or whatever. Because, you
Dude,
know,
I'm totally going out to find snow cones today.
oh,
I am
man.
all about that.
It's a snow cone day. I think we all need to go get some ice cream. Break! Yeah, but in true Bald Monkeys fashion, you know, because we love to just hate on stuff around here. I want everybody. We're gonna go around one more time, and I want everybody to just plug something that you want to see fixed in WWE or AEW or Impact. I guess if we haven't been talking about Impact, we're bad about that. We need to talk about Impact more. We'll get there. But Chris, give me something. Give me something that's, you know, grinding your gears, and how do you fix it?
I mean, I'll harp on this, and I've harped on it 100 times. The women's tag belts either need to be represented or go away. If you're not going to utilize them, then just get rid of them. Just trash them. Figure out a creative way to build a story around them just being taken away. Bring them back eventually when you have the ability or the story to push them. If you're not going to push them, don't have them. You're better off building a mid card title for the women right now than these tag titles. I know originally it was nostalgic and bringing them back was interesting, but you're only hurting those titles more than actually helping them. The Kabuki Warriors was a good push for a while, but you don't have competitors for them. The Iconics are nowhere to be found. DeVille and Rose are starting to materialize again as a tag team, but you have a more interesting storyline with Otis than you do with them being a tag team. So if you're not going to use them, get rid of them. I actually prefer if the WWE would just bring in a mid-card title right now and let the women's tag kind of organically rebuild itself in NXT, because I think NXT has got the strength down there to build tag teams more than the main card does right now. Or just bring all the people that are actually tag teams onto one show and let the tag team belts live on one show. Those are my only two ideas to fix it, because right now we're so far off the rails that it needs help.
Steven, how about yourself? What do you got for him?
I'm over squash matches at this point. Between Rowan and like McIntyre with no Jose, like I feel like they're putting too much of it, just too much wasted time. It could be squash matches, it could be unneeded promos. They just need to clean things up. It's always been my big thing is if a promo is needed, it could be great. But if it's not needed, just don't. And just wasted time. I wish they would fix that issue.
Chuckles?
I would say fix the women's championship belt on AEW and get it off of Riho and give it to either Nyla Rose or Chris Statlander in one way, shape, or form.
Word. WWE. before I leave you today, the only thing I'll say, just to touch on my one rant, and this is just for a second. This is not actually the thing I'm going to complain about. Please don't ruin Liv Morgan. I like her too much. Please don't ruin her. All right. More than you already have. Let's try to resuscitate her. Thank you. All right. But the real thing is, hey, Cesaro, would you please go to the corporate and steal the damn European title and start challenging people? Let's do that. I know that is my storyline, and so it's never going to happen. But it's such a good storyline, it needs to happen. Cesaro goes into corporate, he breaks in somewhere, he steals the European title, and he just starts challenging people to challenge him for this title. And you do the biggest damn Cesaro push ever with this European title. It'll be such a big push that'll even be on an ice cream sandwich. Hell yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us this week. I'll even tell you the episode. I'm going to do a little spoiler alert, even though you're going to see the name of the episode before you actually start it, so I guess it's not a spoiler alert. But for whatever reason, if you just started listening to this episode and you made it all the way to the end of the episode and you didn't know what the name of the episode was, it's episode 41, The Purple Slurry.
Man, I'm going to get a snow cone today. I'm so excited.
Oh, man. That purple slurry, though. All right. Thank you for listening to us, as always. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share this podcast with other people. Enjoy other podcasts in the wrestling community. And, get out there. And I mean, if you like wrestling like we like it, like, be interactive. We want to be interactive with you. You know why we talked about ice cream? We talked about ice cream because one of our listeners wanted us to talk about ice cream. And I actually enjoy talking about ice cream, too, because I'm fat, but that's besides the fact. And I think, Chris obviously is obsessed with snow cones. And
I had some Dairy Queen last night.
yeah.
I'm Googling where to find them right now.
Well, you know where to find some Italian ice, at least. So at the very least, you can get some Italian ice. Truth. Our truth. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week, and we'll see who is the champion of the NXT UK picks. Wow. Thank you very much.